Good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. How are you feeling this morning? How do we feel about Celtic this morning? How do we feel about the players? How do we feel about the club as a whole? Because there's a big cloud of negativity over the club right now, and when you go online, it's definitely one of those things where you think, "Geez, are we really in such a bad place having just had one game under the new manager?" And I'm going to be quite frank and honest. It's given me the fear for Thursday. But anyway, Wilfred Nancy says that even though the team were booed at half time after Hearts took a lead against a run of play, it has to be said, he says that he loved the atmosphere. He says because it shows that the fans have a passion for the club. And if we do our job right, we need passion. The players are the things that I can control, said the manager. I want to give emotion to the fans. They have the right to challenge us and to support us. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the atmosphere. It was spot on. When we're close to scoring and we don't score, you can understand the frustration of the fans. The fans want to push us on and challenge. They also want to be part of this situation where when we're winning, it's all nice and it's great. Next up is Roma for Celtic, and it is about breaking transfer. Well, it's not about breaking transfer news. It's starting to grow a bit of arms and legs. This one, Celtic have been linked with a goalkeeper, and I think that if this does happen, what does it say to Sinisalo? What does it say to Sinisalo and his time at Celtic? Because if this does happen, and Stefan Ortega from Manchester City does join Celtic, what does this say to Sinisalo and his long-term future at Celtic? He's a fantastic young goalkeeper. He's a fantastic young goalkeeper, and the fact that Manchester City signed Stefan for a free. They got him for absolutely nothing. He's been backup keeper for them for a number of years. His valuation went up to £9 million at his time at Manchester City. He's not been given a lot of game time, but when he's been called upon, he's been a half decent player. He has won the Champions League. He has won he's won the Premiership with them as well. He is a winner, but at 33-year-old, is the German goalkeeper really the goalkeeper that we need at Celtic? Is he? I mean, if it does happen, Sinisalo's got every right to just go. Do you know what? I'm maybe going to think about just getting out of here because Sinisalo's he was a number one goalkeeper before he came here, and it'd be just sitting wasting his career at such an important time of his career. Does he go out on loan? I mean, Ortega's won. He was a Champions League winner with Manchester City. He's won 2 English Championship trophies. He's won the UEFA Super Cup. He's won the FIFA World Cup with Man City. All sitting on the bench, of course, the majority of the time. And for me, oof, I'm not too keen on it. We went down that road. We went down the experienced road with the past 2 keepers, and Joe Hart was heads and tails. He was way better than Schmeichel. I think Joe Hart, physicality, everything, fitness, everything. But Joe Hart had his little moments. It's okay bringing in an experienced goalkeeper, but it's a goalkeeper. It's a goalkeeper that we'd be bringing in that hasn't had a lot of game time over the years. He's been sitting on the Manchester City bench. He's been trained at Man City. This love affair with Man City and the City group, for me, needs to stop at Celtic. And hopefully, now that we've got new backroom staff coming into the recruitment department, that it will. I think that if this does happen in the summer, and Sinisalo does not get game time at Celtic, if I was Sinisalo, I'd be saying, look, it's maybe time that I move on. Let's hope Sin gets game time at Celtic. He's a great keeper. He is that. He's a fantastic keeper, and I just don't understand why Celtic is or are. I mean, you can understand why. Don't think that it was the team that was booed. I thought it was the officials it was aimed at. Mm. Either way, there was booing at Celtic at half time, and it sounded on the TV. It sounded as if it was towards the players and the team. But if it was towards the officials, you can only go what on people that are at the game will say it was at the officials. But when it's on TV, you've got thousands of people, tens of thousands of people watching it live, and tens of thousands of people watching it on the telly, and they'll think that it was the Celtic team that was getting booed at. That's what I thought anyway. But people that were at the game could tell us different. And that's the difference between people that go to a game and people that watch it on the TV, I suppose. But anyway, the fact that if Sinisalo doesn't get game time, what should he do? And it even comes to this next window. Should Sinisalo at the next window ask for a loan move till the end of the season to get him game time? Because I think he's a waste of a keeper on the bench. A complete waste of a keeper at the bench. And I just hope that this is just a rumour. But when you look online, it seems to be gathering pace as these things normally do with Celtic. But then there's been other ones that have gathered pace over the years. And the fact that it's been pretty much confirmed that he is going to leave Manchester City. He's not part of the plans going forward for Manchester City. So does Wilfred. And what does it say for the manager then if he does go down that road and bring in? It means that what we're all thinking, that the recruitment has far too much say. The recruitment department has far too much to say when it comes to the buying in of players. They should only be advising the manager. And I, for one, hopes the manager goes, no, we've got a great keeper in Sinisalo. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Anyway, Wilfred Nancy will ask his players to take responsibility for the new system. I think that they need to take responsibility. The players, I mean, what changes can the manager make to the team this week? When you see the team that he picked, never forget the order that he put them out in. Was that the strongest starting 11 that Celtic could start with at the weekend? A lot of people, I mean, I think when we all look at it, with the changes that could have been made, could Bernardo come on for Hatate earlier on? Daizen Maeda, does Daizen Maeda really excel through the middle, or does Daizen Maeda excel out in the wing where he's played for Celtic most of his time? Should we have played Johnny Kenny from the start? Johnny Kenny has probably the best opportunity of the match to try and get us level when he puts his header. No, it was after the goal, wasn't it? Or was it? I can't even remember. I'm sick of it. But what changes would you make? What changes would you make to the Celtic team with the limited resources that we have at Celtic? Because let's face it, we do have. The team is that short on players that we do have limited resources right now. If Sinisalo doesn't get a game, he has to move for his own career. The new keeper can't be a backup. I think he's on far too big a wage to come from Man City. He's on something like $4 million a year. I mean, he's made some good money at Celtic over the years. He'll know that. Celtic have got lucky with goalkeepers. They've went out and they got Joe Hart. Joe Hart made his money. He just wanted to finish his career winning things. Kasper Schmeichel, he'd made his money. He was the manager's mate. That's why he came to the club. I don't think that if Brendan Rodgers wasn't at Celtic, I don't think Kasper Schmeichel would have came to Celtic. He had other options in the Premier League where he could have earned more money. But then again, maybe Kasper Schmeichel would have came because, you know, that chance to finish your career winning medals. When you get to the end of the end of your career, the importance of getting that little winner's medal kind of heightens up a bit, especially if you've been a player that's been used to winning now and again through your career. This guy comes from Man City. He could be a good keeper, but for me, Sinisalo deserves. Sinisalo is better than Casper for a start. Yeah, is that. Um, right, talking about the changes for the team. What changes could the manager make to the team for the Roma game this week? Possibly Bernardo, free Paulo B, free Paulo B. McCowan instead of Yang on the right. It would give us a better defensive, but it's not ideal because McCowan's not really a winger. We're in the manager's in an impossible position going into this game because if he makes changes, people will say, "Well, you're playing people out of position." When you look at the injury situation, I mean, Yang's a winger. That's you can understand why he's played him in that position because it's natural to him. McCown's more of a midfielder. It's a difficult one. I hope they have wasted Sinisalo's time promising him to take over and now going back at it. He looked good enough. Yeah, he does that. Put Ralston as a wing back for the start. But you get too many people saying that Ralston's not good enough. Do you know? And if it doesn't work, I mean, there's two different people that we've just had as the wing back, Ralston and Luke McCown in place of Yang. It's interesting. If we're looking at a keeper, why don't looks like we don't rate Sinisalo. I've no idea what was going on. I mean, we brought in an absolutely fantastic young keeper with loads of promise. The holy goalie, Sinisalo. That team on Sundays probably had 3-4 players wanting to leave. Yeah, Joseph, you're maybe right. You're maybe right. You know, if you look at it, I still think Yang will be away. Dyson Maeda will be away for definite. When you look at the money that's on the bench, I mean, we've been shouting out. There was one point where we were shouting out it was a waste of 11 million on the bench. We had way more than 11 million pounds worth on the bench at the weekend, and it just wasn't good enough. Just wasn't good enough. Drop Tenecti and play Yang on the left and bring in Donovan on the right. Interesting one from Michael. Bernardo for Hatate. Yeah, I think so. You could put McCowan in anywhere and he'd put in a shift. Yeah, you could put him in anywhere, but does it? Managers are all about the balance of the team, and whatever he does on Thursday, I think it's more about the players performing the way that they did in the first 40 minutes of the game. You can't have a fantastic 40 minutes and then just completely collapse. We didn't collapse, but what we did do is we didn't play the way that the manager was wanting us to play. Hence the reason that he gets out the Connect Four and just everything. We've got a team of mediocre players. It is, and that's the downside of it. I mean, spending 2 years chasing after Michelangelo Balak-Wisha, and he comes into Celtic, and I don't know what. I mean, the guy that's just left, that was head of recruitment, that was put in charge when Ange came in, just a young guy, and he's changed it around to this modern stats collated recruitment model. Do you know? And I think that the modern game. I mean, it's very Americanizing. You know, it's the Americanization of football. If we're going to go down and buy players just on pure stats, I want my manager to go and look at a player. Buying players on stats, you're not looking at the physicality of the player. You're not looking at their upper body strength. These things. I mean, do they come across in the stats? Well, if it does, whoever is looking at that stat needs a wee bitch slap first thing in the morning and say, get your act together. But yeah, we've got a team of mediocre players, and that's it. March this year, I said, time to drop Casper, CCV, and Rio. Still stand by this. Well, you don't need to worry about CCV because he's out for the end of the season. Casper Schmeichel, he makes some good saves in his defence. In the defence of Casper Schmeichel, he makes some good saves. But I think that Sinisalo is more agile, quicker in getting the ball out. And these are the kind of stats that they should be looking at. Do you know, the distribution of the ball after Celtic get the ball from a corner or whatever. Do you know, it's when we're throwing the ball out. With Casper seems to hold the ball a bit longer than what he should, and he's looking about. But then again, that comes down to the players in front of him as well. If the players, as soon as Casper grabs the ball, the players should be pelting up the pitch so that it gives Casper the opportunity. They're still, I think that the players are still in Brendan Rodgers mode, where it's like, right, the keeper gets the ball, everyone just calms down, and then you play out from the back. I think that we're still in Brendan Ball mode deep down, and I know that we kind of got away from it a bit from when Martin was in, but you seen the way that they reverted back into it against the Hearts game. It was all about sort of trying to keep possession, and then that allowed Hearts to bounce back on top of us. But the opening spell of the game at the weekend, you know, we all agreed during the game that it was fantastic. It wasn't until they scored that you were starting to think, well, wait a minute, that was against the run of play. But anyway, what can the manager do this week to change the team around? We need to take Lubo and what Yang on the left is a belter. Most players are not fit for purpose. Yeah, they're not. They're not. But that comes down to managers and recruitment stuff. Do you know? You want a shift in quality. Mm. Did you watch that one? It was good just to get off this channel and just talk about just sort of football. Do you know? Just talk about what I missed about it. What I missed and some of the laughs that we've had. God, I've got loads of stories about some of the laughs that we've had going to games over the years. Um, it's McCown, yeah. It's McCown's 28th birthday today, so happy birthday to Luke. I'm sure Celtic will put out the birthday card pish, as Celtic fans call it, when Luke McCown, 28. Don't know, he's a player that should be coming into his prime. He's a player that is in his prime, but can he just up his game? I like the look of Brother Wilfred's system. Just need the players to suit, so it's a big January window required. I like wish I give shite a bad name. Jesus God. Aye, aye, aye. At this stage, McCowan, Bernardo, Engels, Hatate, Trusty, Scales, and a few more are not Celtic players. Will to win domestically, but will be shite in Europe. Sinisalo in. That's an interesting one because Scales is well respected in the international setup. He's a player that can play any number of positions on the left hand side. Are we playing Scales only through lack of players in that position? Are we playing Scales is in the worst position for him? Playing him at left centre back. Is that maybe not his best position? Is his best position left of a back three and he's not in the centre? Like he's done for Ireland. He played at the left of a back five for Ireland. He played left midfield for Ireland. Maybe we're not utilising them purely for the fact that we've no players in those positions. Do you know, he was put in that position by accident. Let's face it. If it wasn't for injuries to certain players, to Cameron Carter Vickers, I don't think that Scales would even be at Celtic at this point. But yeah, Engels, he's going to have to live up to his price tag, or Celtic are going to take a massive hit on Engels at some point in the future. I mean, he is still young, but he can only get away with that young price tag for another couple of years. You know, the time he gets to 24, if he's going to be an £11 million player, he needs to start up in the game. Can Wilfred Nancy turn him into the player that he is? Hatate, I think that he is an enigma at Celtic, and yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, well, he is Celtic standard when he's on game, on form, but it happens far too many times that he just doesn't look interested. The board have got fans' expectations so low, except in Yang, and talk of crap like Devlin being some kind of exactly, mate. Yep, they've won, haven't they? In that aspect, the board have won, and that's sad. That means that we're well and truly in a period of managed decline, if that's the case. Um, it's time to drop Schmeichel and place in a Salo, says Gus. Yep, I'm right up for that. Seen it in the Dundee game, Baz, too. Says Joseph. Casper lost most of his goals on the right hand side. There you go. My words were sluggish. It's a sluggish game, still say it. Is that Andy Robertson on loan? We rumour I've seen Andy Robertson. I mean, he's coming in to play the same position as Kieran Tierney. If Is he not signed a new contract with Liverpool? And if he's not signed a new contract with Liverpool, Liverpool aren't going to loan him out till to finish off his contract. Liverpool will keep him at Liverpool to the end of the season if he's to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. But anyway, Slot may get sacked before then, though. Yeah, this is true. The good doctor has a big job to do. Don't even get me started on Sleepyhead. Do you know? Don't get me started on Sleepyhead. I don't even think it's Sleepyhead that's head of recruitment. I mean, there is someone else in charge of head of recruitment. I don't know exactly what the good doctor does. He's certainly not. Certainly not Doctor Who. It's ironic that we have a board reluctant to spend money when we find ourselves in the position we are. I mean, we need to spend big in the next 2 or 3 windows. Do we need to spend big though? Do we need to spend big? Do we need to spend 20, 30 million in all reality? We've got a squad of players that kind of upped their game for Martin O'Neill. Can the manager get more out of these players like Martin O'Neill did? I mean, one bad 50-minute spell doesn't define a manager. Why buy a keeper when we need a top-rated striker? We're not buying the keeper. The keeper would be free. He joined Manchester City on a free contract, and he's not part of the plans. And his contract is up this summer. Hence the reason that he's been linked with Celtic again. He's been linked with Celtic because Celtic like to bring in keepers that don't cost a penny, that have a bit of experience. Kaiser says all these Celtic players seem to wear the strip on TV. Against Hearts, I said we were sluggish on Thursday. I can see us getting a result against Roma. Do you think so? Do you think that we'll get our Ortega's 33 years old? He's 33-year-old, so he's not at the higher end of the age bracket. He's not as old as Schmeichel, or definitely is not as old as Joe Hart. He is only 33-year-old, but the whole freedom of the contract thing and this Manchester City group has got people saying that he could follow Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel to Celtic. Personally, I think it would be devastating for Sinisalo if we went down that road to bring in an experienced goalkeeper like him. He's been described as world class, but he's out of contract in the summer. And obviously, with Kasper Schmeichel coming to the end of his contract at Celtic, that's why all the chat is talking about bringing in the 33-year-old to Celtic. Scales has done his best. He's just not good enough for Celtic. Same as CCV. It's an interesting one. Players can look reborn. They look reborn under Ange. Says Kaiser. 34. He's still younger than the last two keepers. Yeah, he is that, but Even Dyson switched off on Sunday. He couldn't bother pressuring the goalie. Yeah, but that's because Dyson doesn't want to get injured. I said that this would happen. You'll go through December and Dyson will play at 80, 90%. He's not going to play the way that he did last season because he doesn't want a chance getting injured. If he knows that if he gets injured in December, he's no leaving Celtic. He's stuck here. He's counting down the days. He's like one of the old boys that used to work in the factory I worked at, and they're doing they're doing overtime like nobody's business because they want to get their wages up because they've got a final salary pension, and they do nothing. They turn up and they clock in, but they do nothing, and that's what Dies Maida will do over the next couple of weeks. He'll turn up, clock in, and do absolutely nothing because he doesn't want to get injured, and he knows that he's going to get a bigger payday once he leaves Celtic in the next window. No to Robertson, says Big Ball, not playing the same position as Tierney. Tierney will be left centre back. Robertson will be wing back. But is Kieran Tierney's is that Kieran Tierney's best position as a left centre back? Because Tierney, at his time at Celtic before, when he was the left back, he did more going up the pitch. Chances of getting crosses in, chances of getting goals. So are you then not taken away from Kieran Tierney's game? Wouldn't Kieran Tierney be better as a left-sided wing back? That's for a lot of people saying no to Robertson. Players were good when Martin O'Neill put the sprint back into the team Sunday. They didn't have a clue on how or what the tactic board wanted them. Reminded me of a school teacher picking the school team. Um, the first 40 minutes I thought were superb. The first 40 minutes I thought we played some of the best football we've played this season. You can't define. I suppose you can define the game over the whole entirety of the game, and the embarrassment of the manager bringing out his tactical board onto the pitch to tell the players what to do. But for the first 40 minutes of the game, I certainly thought that we played the best football that we've played all season under the three different managers we've had, which is incredible to think that we've had three managers in a season. Just bringing better players, especially up front. Yeah, we do that. Goalkeeper, really? Well, we will need another goalkeeper. When Kasper Schmeichel retires, will leave Celtic at the end of this season. We don't seem to have a young goalkeeper. I mean, it's doing a little bit of disrespect to some of the young goalkeepers that are at Celtic. Where do they see their future? Because we've put one out to Dunfermline. He seems to be doing okay in Dunfermline. There's no point of having a youth system at Celtic if we're not going to bring young players through, put them out on loan, and then bring them back in to sit on the bench. At Celtic, you've got Ross Dohan sitting on the bench at Celtic. Could that be your Sinisalo number one and Ross Dohan number two? You need three goalkeepers for European games. That's then when you then bring in a younger keeper. It's a hard one for Celtic to do. We need wisely, 100%. Don't get fucked over like we did for Adam Ida. I don't think it's just Adam Ida that done us over. I think that we got done over with bringing in Arne Engels for the price tag that we brought him in. 5 million for Balak Wisher. Looks like we were robbed. The guy's got skinny legs. It doesn't look as if he could put in a shift anywhere. But anyway, who's the keeper, Baz? Can't tell as the photo's on the phone. His name is Ortega, Manchester City goalkeeper. And me for one, I don't fancy him as a keeper at Celtic. But anyway, we move on from that. Celtic news wise, it is all about a lot of Celtic sites are talking about the fact that Nicky Hayden, the Club Bruges manager, has been sacked after a bad run of results. Yeah, a lot of people wanted the Club Bruges manager at Celtic before Wilfred Nancy, and he's been sacked after a run of bad results, which kind of gives us a bit of hope gives us a bit of hope, doesn't it? But anyway, that is your Celtic news for this morning. Let's jump into the comment section. There's a super chat came in. Super chat from Stephen Johnson. Smash the thumbs up button, everyone. Thank you for that, Stephen. There's some top rated free agents out there. If you look, yeah, there is. But Celtic just are they? Are they? Do they have the physicality that we need? That's the big question, Gus. Do they have the physicality and upper body strength? Because we're getting pushed about all over the pitch sometimes, and even in the SPFL, you look at, you look at St Mirren. They've got big, tall players. Hearts, big, tall players that push us out of position. Do you know? I think that we definitely need big, strong players in the midfield and even in defence. You know, I think that Austin Trusty is as good as he is, and for as good as Liam Scales is, even Yang got booked for shirt pulling. You know, something. Stefan Ortega is a brilliant keeper. He is that, but he's been on the bench for Man City for the most of the last 6 years. Is that the type of keeper that we need at Celtic? He's world class, but I'm just not sure that it would be fair on Sinisalo. I think that Sinisalo would really have to be rethinking his career options and be thinking about getting away from Celtic if we went out and brought in Stefan Ortega. No, we're not buying the keeper. He's coming in. Sinisalo will be off, like people saying. Watching Maeda be amazing on Thursday, guaranteed. Watch Maeda be amazing. Maybe he will be. Maybe he will be amazing because it's games like this that Dyson Maeda needs to show that he can do it at the highest level. There's nothing being confirmed that he's definitely going to Everton. Everton is all the talk about. All the talk is about him going there. Nothing's been signed yet. The transfer window isn't open. We'll just need to wait and see. CCV has been the best centre half since Big Bobo, says James. I'm sure Nancy and other clubs usually play manager. Sinisalo should be his goalkeeper. That's true. True. I'm still getting flashbacks from that header. Sitter, miss. Can't believe he missed it. I, I think that the fact that it was right into the keeper's hands, should have done better. But then you look at Dyson Maeda, giving Johnny Kenny stick about missing that header. Dyson Maeda should have scored two. Rio Hitati hits it off the crossbar. Luke McCowan flies one over the roof of the bar as well. Picking on the youngest player in the squad is maybe a bit unfair, but he should have had it in the back of the net. But the older, more experienced player, Luke McCowan's 28-year-old. He knows he should. The issue that we've had all season is not hitting the back of the net, not hitting the target, not putting the goalkeeper under pressure, putting it wide. The majority, if someone went out and took each individual game and looked at the stats from the beginning of the season and looked at how many attempts at goal we've had to attempts on target, you'll be sitting going, what are they doing in training? Are they that bad in training? Because they need to just sit and they need to do target practice every day. Never mind this, just keeping the fitness level up and doing these wee things to, we need serious coaching at Celtic. As we all know, there are players at Celtic who should not be there. Like at Limpet, we need to still back up at the January window. Yeah, we do. If Ortega is world class, then he did get much playing time. Yep, at City, nope. But to be fair, City's got quite a good goalkeeper, and having him as backup, it's not a bad. Do you think that Man City complain about having an £8 million rated goalkeeper sitting on the bench? How come fans moaned about Gavin Strachan when he brought the laptop out, but can't say anything about tic-tac boards? Yeah. This is true. I like the tactic boards. It would make an excellent dinner tray. You'll get more appearances and longevity from Tierney at centre back. I kind of like that, but does it take away from his game? And maybe it is. Maybe you would get. He's got 4.5 years left at Celtic. Maybe you. Maybe it's not a bad idea. We did it with Scott Brown. We stopped Scott Brown for being a box to. He was the last real box to box midfielder that we had. He was known as a box to box midfielder, and then we sat him in the middle of the park. Maybe if you did the same to Kieran Tierney, just played him in a back three, and tell him, look, Kieran, you don't need to bomb up the pitch. You don't need to do your hamstring injury. You need to race back and chase it with defenders, and he's got the pace to do that. With strikers. So maybe it would be. It's maybe he's maybe got the right manager to give him that longevity. So you never know, Derek. Should we see Kenny or Iniacho on Thursday? Well, I think that you're going to go with Johnny Kenny because Iniacho isn't game match fit, is he? I mean, his fitness is there, but he needs to start getting 10, 15 minutes on the pitch. Correct, Baz. Thought we were going to steamroll the Huns, the wee Huns. We didn't do that. First half was fine. Second half was Brendan ball. Yeah, completely. We reverted back into it. It's like Martin O'Neill hadn't even been there, and the players went into automatic mode. Agreed, Brad. First half was good, but defending was ranked rotten. Kieran Tierney heading ability isn't the greatest for me at centre back. Yeah, well that is true, but that's why we need when it comes to corners and stuff, we need big midfielders to help it with the defenders. One of the goalkeepers is Kilmarnock's goalkeeper. Yeah, first 30 minutes were fantastic. Then we lost our way, unfamiliar tactics. Players got lost. Then sucker punched. I think the sucker punch came well against the run of play. We we brought in Iniacho. Stupid. He was a panic signing. He was a panic signing. How? I mean, the Spanish club must be pissing themselves laughing just to get him off the wage. He didn't do particularly well in Spain. If you won on Sunday, the tactics board is legendary. Way too much media focus on giving the tribute act something to laugh at. It's a narrative being spun to put some people under pressure. Of course it is. Of course it is. That's who I wanted, the Bruges manager. Well, he's been sacked for a bad run of results. So you never know, you might still get him. Could you imagine? I can't see Celtic going through 4 managers in a season. Can't see that. We won't get manhandled week in, week out. Yeah, we won't get manhandled week in, week out, but I want Celtic to go back to being a big, powerful, strong team. Cold coffee. Always do that. I want Celtic to be a big, powerful, strong team that dominate Scottish football again. Right now, we're not dominating Scottish football. We're not even dominating our home ground. We talk about making Celtic Park a fortress in Europe again. We need to make it a fortress in the league first. And we're not even doing that. And that comes down to the players that we've brought into the club. For this new way of looking at players, this data-driven analytics of bringing players into the club, whoever is reading the data is reading it. That I think that it's maybe not an iPad, and they've got it upside down, and they're reading the numbers upside down. That's all I'm saying. Been saying for years we're a lightweight team, especially in midfield. Yep, pace and physicality in the team, especially for Europe, definitely. Say we beat Roma 3-0. Last person criticising Wolf will be then singing his praises. Bernardo and Engels play deep. McCowan and Kalmak more advanced. That's a good shout, actually, mate. Play Bernardo in the holding midfield role, but can Bernardo control and dictate? What Celtic have been used to over the years, Paul Lambert could read the game, sitting in that holding midfield role, watching the game, dictating the game. Neil Lennon, he would tackle anybody in midfield to break up play, the opposition play. We don't really have someone like Neil Lennon in the midfield doing that. Scott Brown then comes in. Scott Brown, he ends up taking up over that mantle of being not so much a midfield maestro, but a midfield general. Callum McGregor was never that type of player. Callum McGregor always played out on the left. He's been brought into, but his Callum McGregor's reading of the game is second to none. Do you know, he's up there with the players that I've just spoke about, with his ability to read the game, the ability to tell players to, you know, he does the captain's role perfect. People get fed up of him pointing, and if Callum McGregor had the players around him that had the foresight to play the positions that they're meant to play, to move where they're meant to, Callum McGregor wouldn't spend half his time pointing and telling players where to go to in the game. That shows you the level that's come way down in our midfield. And I feel sorry for Martin O'Neill having to come into Celtic with such a poor squad. He did fantastic, but you know, it's world class. My arse, Ortega is rotten. It'd be another bad signing. Oh, I'm glad somebody come out and said that, because I don't want him. Scales has been our best centre back for 2 years. Yep, Sinisalo should be taking those gloves. 2 thumbs up. Sinisalo should be our number one goalkeeper. End of. Roma are on a good run. We'll be looking to get a draw and lift the cup on Sunday. I think we'll lift the cup on Sunday. Outfield players, we don't need goalkeepers. I think that we need. We'll get 4 in this window, which is short. I think the next window I still go for 7. We need 7 players just to cover the team. And if we don't bring 7 players in, if it gets to deadline day and we're still scrambling about to get players, we're fucked. We're fucked. I think that the season could be over by then. We're not referring to Engels' header. Or the Engels one. I didn't want to talk about Engels. God. I think a lot of players might be found out under this manager, looking for them to play various positions. What's with players nowadays? They fear to take shots at goal. I think they are. Do you know, there was several times during the game at the weekend that you're thinking, just take a shot. And then Luke McCown did it and did it. Yep, Club Bruges man has been sacked. Roma are not that good, otherwise they would be in the Champions League. No excuses, we should beat them at home. Don't get it, Sinisalo's been excellent when he's come in for us, yeah. Sounds like everything Paradise 3 is up there now. Yeah, of course it is. It's weird. Target practice video released a few months back. Hitati, Engels, for your lads. It's a bad watch. The amount of misses for our professional football. Oh, don't. Honestly. We need some good hard cunts on our team who take no shit. We do. We do that. But there is no Scottish players, I think. I mean, name one good Scottish player that could come in and do a good job at Celtic that's a real hard man in Scottish football just now. That's just the way the modern players, isn't it? Kieran's good on the overlap. Yeah, that's what I think. Polish midfielder we're looking at LA is up for transfer. I think he's an upgrade on Ingles, who's an 11 million dud. Whatever happens next with this manager, better work. Yeah, this is true. It needs to work. Jasper drives slow motion. What age is John Terry? Oh God, don't say that. If KT should be fully wing back, his playing style should be a major part of the game. Long jeopardy, no good in position. That restricts your game. Yeah, this is true. Any actual off to the World Cup? Keep him away from the squad on Thursday. He's shite. There's a few good defenders in the SPFL. We should just try and bring some of them in. We need to do something, because the team as it is really struggling. You know, I agree with you, Baz. Tall, powerful, he's missing from this. It is. We get bullied. I mean, we got lucky with some. We started scoring some corners, The amount of corners that Celtic get, we didn't score from them. But then Liam Scales comes in, scores a couple of corners, and we think that all's done. First domestic game we've lost in a year at Celtic Park. Why is it not a fortress domestically? When I say fortress, I mean winning every game 4 or 5-0. Back like what we used to do. You used to go to Celtic Park and you would put plus 2, +3 for Celtic. It just doesn't happen anymore. Our analytics is like a computer Little Britain sketch. Computer says no. Yeah, it does that. Right, I'm going to jump through some of these comments because I have been on for 45 minutes this morning. Nancy's killed the buzz. That's what's happened. Is that not a bit of fear on him? Roma are almost top in Serie A. Roma are third in Serie A. Schmikey is past it. Interesting. Man City goalie stuff has Tisdale fingerprints all over it. We have a great keeper in Sinisalo. This is very true. I'd like to see Inamura get some game time again. If he's not getting game time, it means he's not as good as the players that we've got in that position. We would like to see Shin Yamada. But the question should be is what is Shin Yamada doing in training that is not getting him anywhere near the squad? Anyway, that is me done and dusted for this morning. Will Celtic bring in Stefan Ortega? I hope not. We never replaced the strikers we sold. This is very true. And what changes will the manager make to this team, if any, on Thursday evening? The players will be back in training today. I hope the manager was at the ground at the training camp yesterday, analysing the game, going through everything. I hope he doesn't overanalyse it with the players today. I hope he gets his point across. But yeah, in all fairness, Nancy's probably had a fever night or two. Welcome to the Goldfish Bowl, eh? Yeah, the Goldfish Bowl with Scottish football. We think that we're the biggest and best club in the world, but the reality is that Celtic are way off it on European stage. And right now, although we're in second place in the league, that's not a bad position to be in. Because as bad as we are, we're still second place in the league with a game in hand. And I think that we should remember that going into this weekend where there is no league football. It could be the case that Celtic win on Thursday, get a draw on Thursday, and then go into the cup final and demolish St Mirren in the cup final. Here's wishful thinking. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.